Hey
Meeting is
everybody,
being recorded.
my name is Chris Palermo. I am from Cisco's Worldwide Collaboration Sales Organization, where I oversee our strategy and go-to-market for team collaboration. But today, for the next 15 or so minutes, we're going to talk about this, the importance of both synchronous and asynchronous collaboration, and then how Cisco supports both. So going to get a little bit into the academic, which is good because it's probably not a topic that you've heard discussed often. And then we're going to finish up really getting into a little bit specific around Cisco collaboration, where that maps over. So to start, when we think about collaboration, there's really different ways that people collaborate. I think a mistake that a lot of people make is they kind of lump all of collaboration into a single bucket. Now, the problem there is because there are very different flavors. And we tend to gravitate towards different types of collaboration based on these various divides that we see in the workspace. So, we've got personality divides. There may be people who their first instinct, let's pick up the phone. I want to talk to you directly, or I'll come by your office so that we can talk face to face. There may be others who don't like that real time collaboration. They would prefer to send an email, leave a voicemail, hoping that you don't pick up when they call. So personality divides dictate different types of collaboration. Generational divides. A lot of baby boomers, quick to call. They grew up raised on the telephone as the primary collaboration instrument in the office. Others, me being a late Gen Xer, I'm at the point now where if you call me, even if I know who it is, probably going to let it go to voicemail. I expect a text or some sort of instant message to say, hey, got this going on, can we talk? So depending on when you were raised and the technology that was around, that changes the way that you want to collaborate and the tools that you might want to use. Cultural divides, geographic divides, two things that also contribute to the different ways that people collaborate. I look at this, my boss at Cisco, he lives in Melbourne, Australia. I'm in New Jersey. He is 14 hours away from me. That divide alone dictates that we have to collaborate very differently than if he lived in New Jersey. So, the two ends of this collaboration spectrum, what are they? On one end, we've got synchronous collaboration. So that's collaborating in real time. If you and I were in a room, a physical room, face to face, doesn't even need to be physical, but if we were in real time talking about this, that would be synchronous collaboration. It's a very rich type of collaboration. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have asynchronous collaboration. So that's collaborating on your time. That's really what we're doing here. I'm recording this on my own time. You are watching this on your own time. It's asynchronous. Now, neither synchronous nor asynchronous are better. They're just different. And that's an important point to bring home. A lot of people think, oh, synchronous real time, it's richer, it's better. No, it's just different. And I think by looking at those divides, you realize why it's different. But now we're going to get a little bit into the academic portion to understand why it's different and why each of those areas are important. So, but just before we do that, if I were to go ask various people, what do you prefer to collaborate? Do you prefer synchronous? Do you prefer asynchronous? And this is what you're going to find. You're going to find this bimodal distribution where some people prefer one end, some people prefer the other. And again, neither is wrong, just different. So now let's get into the good stuff here. The media richness theory. What is it? So it is a sociological theory that states the more complicated task you're looking to accomplish, the richer medium you need to pair it with. So let me break this down. If you look here, we've got the whole spectrum of collaboration and media richness. On the far left, we've got lean mediums of collaboration. We've got the asynchronous, my time. On the other end, we've got the richer mediums, the synchronous, the real time. So let's build this out. Furthest left, the leanest type of collaboration. Text asynchronous addressed, your blogs, your wikis, your discussion forums. You're not necessarily communicating or collaborating out to one particular person, but you're getting content out there. That serves a purpose. There's lots of this type of collaboration. As we start to build up, you'll see it starts to get a little bit richer. Text asynchronous addressed. Sending emails to somebody, a direct person. At mentioning someone on Twitter or in some sort of chat room. That's addressed text. It's a little richer because you're focusing it on one particular person. Next we step up to voicemail. So that's asynchronous voice. Now the reason why this is richer is because now that we're beyond text and just voice, you can start to pick up certain things in the way that I'm talking and kind of sense my attitude and how I'm feeling about what I'm saying. As we get further, synchronous text. So now we're starting to get into some of the real-time things. And the reason why that's richer is because we can do some question and answer back and forth. And if you need clarification, we can do that without having to wait. Next level up, asynchronous video. What we're doing here. And now, some may argue, well, text synchronous, maybe that's a little richer. Quick example here. If I were trying to explain these concepts over IM or text messaging, think of how painful it would be. You'd have no visuals to look at. Sure, you could ask me questions and we could have a richer dialogue in that sense, but I wouldn't be able to share these graphics with you. I wouldn't be able to share these views. It's much better absorbed, and it's a richer way to collaborate by us doing this through asynchronous video recorded meetings. Continuing to build it out, synchronous voice, pick up the phone, talk on the phone. Great way to collaborate. One of the kind of anchor points of collaboration in the office space. Synchronous video. So that's real-time video being on a WebEx or any sort of online meeting where you're having those types of conversations. Super rich, even though you're not necessarily in the specific room. Above that, we've got video and screen share. So the reason why that's important is because not only do I get to see your face and if you're upset or not upset or what you're thinking, but I can also see the content that you're using. It's really the next best thing to being at the furthest end, which is in person. So in person obviously is the richest way to collaborate. Now, let me give you two examples to kind of show how the media richness theory really gets put into effect. One, imagine I wanted to take next week off. I wanted to take some vacation, and I needed to ask my boss if he would approve me to take next week off. So I could really do anything along this full end of the spectrum. Say I went the richest end, and I went with in person. What would that mean? So that would mean I would have to buy a plane ticket from Newark, New Jersey to Melbourne, Australia, probably get on a plane for 20-something hours to get to Australia, get off, rent a car, pull up Apple Maps or Google Maps and find my way to my boss's house, arrive at his door, knock on his door, opens up, I ask him, Paul, can I take next week off? He would say yes, or he would say no. Would I get my answer? Yes, absolutely. But was it worth the time? Sure, I got to see his face and his emotion and read into all those subtle characteristics, of what was going on. But I didn't need that. It was a simple task. It had a binary answer. I could have gone all the way to the end, probably to @mention or an email. I could have gone into our WebEx team space and just @mention, Paul and say, Paul, can I take off next week? Got some stuff going on. He replies yes. A lot easier, economically saves money, saves my time so I can be more productive. So that's matching it to a lean medium because the task is easy. Now, if it was something more difficult, say you and I were looking through a spreadsheet and we had to figure out, where was the mathematical error? That's not something you can do over text. That's not something you can do over the phone. That's going to require some rich collaboration. It's going to require something on the far end, your online meetings where you're sharing the spreadsheet. We're both looking at the thing at the same time, and a much richer way to collaborate because what we're trying to do is much more challenging. So lots of different tasks require all these different modes of collaboration. So let's look a little bit about what Cisco does to fill those ends, because I think a lot of times when people think Cisco collaboration, they think real time, because that was really the kind of the cornerstone for so long of what Cisco collaboration is. But if you look at what we have now, even on the lean end, text, asynchronous unaddressed, your team spaces within WebEx Teams. I can talk to people in various groups. Maybe I don't have a direct message for specific people, but I just want to let the general groups know what's going on. And if I'm in that group or somebody's in that group, they can check it out at their leisure. Text asynchronous addressed. People who are @mentioning me, I'm @mentioning people. Another area that we have within WebEx Teams. Asynchronous voicemail. Cisco Unity's been around for just about as long as I can remember, and it's still there. A lot of good advancements have been made, being able to do play it online and not have to dial through the phone. But that's still one of the means of collaboration. And then we have just regular synchronous text. So whether you use Jabber for on-prem customers or WebEx Teams for cloud customers, or maybe use something else. Synchronous text is what allows us to do that instant messaging back and forth as we build up the media richness. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, again, this is probably what Cisco is more known for. So asynchronous video. This is what I'm doing now. Before I started this WebEx meeting, which is what this is, I hit the record button. I set up my preferences to make sure I put my little thumbnail picture in the top and wanted the content in this area, did all that in the settings page. But then when I was ready and fired this up, boom, hit record. Synchronous voice. Cisco is probably as well known for our phones as anybody. So if you look at what Cisco does in this space, it's not just the IP phones themselves, the hardware, but it's also the software. All the soft clients that we have that do very much the same thing. Synchronous video. So being on WebEx meetings and sharing our video, video and screen share. So as we start to get more and more immersive, we have things like our room units. This is the WebEx Panorama, one of the more newly announced devices. But if you look at this, this is so immersive. It's so rich. You feel like you're there. The people are sized the same way people are sized. It feels like it's an extension of the room. You've got the content being shared. The reason why I have this kind of bleed a little into the in-person is because this isn't just video and content share. This really starts to get more into the psychological. Let's make the person feel like they are in person and they are there. So if you're doing a task that is really, really complicated, having this type of collaboration is so valuable, so valuable. So, just to kind of take a step back here and look, there's not a lot of collaboration vendors in this space that can cover all of these areas like Cisco can. So, Cisco, not just the asynchronous side, also the synchronous side. It's not just software, but also the hardware that accompanies it, really balancing that in-room as well as the virtual collaboration. And that's really the key here, for you to understand the importance of each of these areas and not just focus on one, because a lot of people may make their investment just on one and then think that, oh, I'm done. That's my collaboration architecture. It's not done. So you need to make sure that you have some sort of solution all the way. And one of the reasons why Cisco is moving towards, you may have heard us talk about our unified app and trying to pull everything together. That's so that as you go from the various modes of collaboration, whether it be voice to messaging to video, it all ties together. You are passing contextual information from one to the other, and it's not just brand new collaboration each time. And when you start to weave that common thread through, then it starts to become interesting, because then you can start to do different things using the data analysis and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And that, I believe, is going to be one of the big differentiators in this space. So 3 things if I could leave you with here. 1, understand what the media richness theory is, and the fact that you need to match, the richness of the media with how difficult the task is. Again, a lot of people don't appreciate that, but you do need to look at the entire spectrum. 2nd, find your gaps. Take that timeline that I had, that spectrum, and see, what do we have for blogs and wikis? What do we have for text addressed? What do we have for content sharing and live meetings? Look along that full spectrum to find what your gaps are. And then lastly, fill your gaps. Obviously, we'd love to have you fill it with Cisco products, but in order to have a complete holistic architecture, you need to fill all those gaps. So, hopefully this was of some value for you. I'd love to get any feedback you have. Continue the conversation in any way. Feel free, if you use WebEx Teams, you can hit me up on that email address, or if you just want to send me an email, you can use that. Love to connect with anybody on LinkedIn. You can find me at C. Palermo. And if you're on Twitter, you can reach me at Chris_Palermo, and you know, frequently talk about all things Cisco Collab and WebEx and AI and ML and remote work. So you know, feel free to follow along and listen to some of my musings there. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed that again, and look forward to collaborating with you all shortly. Thanks. Bye-bye.